Domestic handles are all garbage more than 200. Why don't I buy an Xbox controller? So-and-so handle is garbage. Within a few days, the joystick drifted. Domestic handles go to Pinduoduo. Just buy a less than 100 yuan to make do. This may be what most players are about at the moment. Handle peripherals are a more common view. So, are the above ideas correct? Hello everyone. I am the old squad leader. Maybe it's because I made a few videos of the horizontal screen of the controller here, so I often have classmates send me private messages, which handle is more suitable for me to buy. In fact, when you ask me this question, you really find the right person. Handles at home and abroad. I have also used more than 20 brands one after another. So today I made such a video to give the students answers. There is no content in this video, nor is there any hint, threat, as well as instructions. You can use it with confidence. So the question is, are the points at the beginning of the video correct? My answer is yes, but not exactly. The first thing students need to understand is that so far, there is no handle that is not problem-free yet. Including the handle of the 3U families, it will also overturn from time to time. For this specific reason, let's not go into detail today. So, why do you still recommend the handle of Usangia? First of all, the handle of the 3U families has put a lot of effort into software and hardware. This is beyond the reach of many domestic manufacturers. Therefore, in terms of overall experience, it is still better than most domestic manufacturers. In addition, it also has great advantages in terms of workmanship. So generally speaking, there is no big problem with the handle of the 3U families. So is the domestic handle not recommended at all? Can't be said either. After all, in terms of the functionality of the handle, the domestic handle has a series of red, somatosensory shooting, etc. functions that the 3 Jade families do not have. So for players with this part of the need, it is still of great significance. If you can guarantee that there are no problems in other aspects, it is still highly recommended under the premise of. But the problem is that there are too many brands of domestic handles. How do players pick a good controller from these dozens of brands? It's a very troublesome question. And among all the domestic handles I have experienced, I can reach the passing line. Only 4 or 5 manufacturers can do it. No wonder many people say that it is domestic garbage. After all, not everyone can get as much as a cow's hair. Find the one that has no problem. Cannot be denied. Among them, there are indeed some domestic handles that are very good. Then the question arises, in addition to the handle of the 3 Jade families, how to buy a good handle? First of all, the handle below 100 yuan. I hope you don't think about it. Li Zhongke said, handles under 100 yuan are garbage. It's 2021. Cow dung chips can even appear. Not even the chip is packaged. You expect it to be so good. Even considering the cost performance, I do not recommend it. Because in addition to hardware garbage, the feel and the accuracy of the joystick, it is also difficult to describe, and the user experience can be said to be a negative score. Then there are handles priced at 100 to 200 yuan. How to say it? Handle at this price point. If you plan to use it for a long time, I personally don't particularly recommend it. But if there are some players who have never used a controller, if you want to experience the feeling of handling the handle, you can still try it. In addition, for those who consider cost performance, or just occasional players are no problem. As for how to choose this part of the handle, you can check out the detailed handle disassembly in the 2 videos I made before, including the functions that each has on board. Students can choose according to their needs. Next is the handle at a price of 200 to 300 yuan. Among domestic handles, this price is also my personal recommendation. So how should we choose before buying? It's actually quite simple. After many years of experience using the handle, I found that all good grip products with joystick tuning are good in themselves. At least it's much better than other handles in the same price range. So what is good training? The top priority in joystick tuning is no dead zone. Don't think that the joystick has no dead zone. In fact, there are very few handles that can be done. In many games, especially the dead zone of FPS game sticks is really a fatal blow. So the question is, how do I know if the controller I'm using has a dead zone? Or how big is the dead zone? Here is a software recommended to all students. I will put it at the top of the comment area. Students who need it can download it by themselves. It was launched by Microsoft, specifically designed to test handles. We can test it conveniently through this software. The way to die with a rocker is simple. When we use the joystick to draw circles, you will find that there will be a very obvious adsorption feeling up and down, left and right. And when it continues to move according to the original trajectory after adsorption, there will be a blank process. That is, your joystick is obviously turning. However, the corresponding points on the software do not move. This is what we call dead zones. In fact, most handles will have this cross-shaped dead zone. This is for many games that rely on joysticks, especially FPS games. The impact is very large. Of course, during the test, some students will find such a situation. It was the joystick memory problem, the hands after leaving the joystick. The coordinates displayed on the software are not 00. If this happens, don't worry, as long as you don't drift in the game, there is no problem. Because most of the game itself is at the center point of the joystick. There will be a small circular area that is the dead zone, so it won't affect the gameplay of the game. Because each manufacturer's strategy for joystick tuning is different. The most important thing is to eliminate dead zones. Here is a point for you to popularize the same subject. Among rocker manufacturers, the Japanese Alps belong to the ceiling of the rocker industry. In addition, the more well-known companies, as well as China's Bank Control and Puyao, the rest is basically not on the table. And the handles on the market that cost more than 150 yuan. Basically, they are all from the above three companies, PS5 controller included. It is also the same thing that Alps and Puyao medicine rods are mixed. Why don't some handles die? This is the case with the handles of most other manufacturers. In fact, any controller except for hardware. It also needs to be tuned in terms of software. However, the individual differences in joysticks are relatively large, so it's easier to deal with a big dead zone directly. There is also a handle. In order to control the cost, the performance of the chip is very weak. Therefore, there is no way to perform complex operations. And the problem of dying is inevitable. So from another perspective, there is no dead handle for any joystick. In terms of software and chip performance, there must be no problem. At this point, I believe you should understand. Why is there no big problem with a good handle for joystick tuning? Then the question arises. In the domestic handle, which ones can achieve no dead zones with joysticks? You can guess. All the handles I've used so far, only 5 manufacturers of Chinese handles can achieve no death. They are Feiji, Baowaitang, Guli, Mahjong. Beitong students can also use the software in the comment area. Test the handle you are using. See if I missed anything. It should be emphasized that Beitong's flagship, Zeus, exists and dies, but Azura did not die. This operation made me a little unclear. Of course, the Zeus handle I have on hand is 19 years old. Maybe the follow-up will be better. Students with Zeus controllers can use the software to test it, and under the feedback in the comment area. Next comes the most core question. Among these 5 handles, how to choose? Below I will talk about the advantages and disadvantages of these 5 controllers. Students can also choose according to their specific needs. First of all, the handle I have used is the familiar Beitong their home. Only Azura 3 and Zeus, what do you say? Beitong has given people a feeling of taking an unusual path in recent years. First of all, the design of the ABXY micro button. This requires a certain amount of time and cost to adapt. For me personally, it may still be more inclined to the conductive glue solution. Can be said that the current big advantage of Beitong's products is functionality. Whether it's the quick adjustment of the Azura, the sensitivity of the joystick, and the quick adjustment of the class, or Zeus's custom joystick height and custom button position. These are functions that other domestic manufacturers do not have. Especially for PCNS dual-platform players, custom keys are a very big advantage. But one thing I have to admit is that the handle of Beitong is indeed expensive. Compared with other handles, it is a little low in terms of cost performance. In general, for those players who like the feel of the micro buttons, then enter Beitong. This is also the only option. On the PC side, I personally recommend Azura. And if you play both NSPC platforms, you can consider Spells. After all, this is also the only controller in the domestic that can change the layout of the position. The premise is that you can accept its price. As the oldest handle in China, Beitong manufacturer, there are still no major problems in terms of workmanship and quality. It's just that the price is a bit high. Next is the non-smart Black 52 handle that you are also very familiar with. It is also my current main controller on the PC side. After such a long period of use, I am still very satisfied with its overall performance. If you want to talk about the problem, it is that it only supports the PC side, not the NS platform. So this also made him say goodbye directly to many dual-platform players. In addition to this, there is the delay problem that Up mentioned before. In fact, ever since I was using Spox like a handle and it was disconnected, I basically only use a wired connection on the PC side. Because using a wireless connection on the PC side, whether it is disconnection or delay, basically it is a normal phenomenon, which is the difference between professional game consoles and computers. The host puts the response of the handle at the bottom. Android and Windows only use Bluetooth as a peripheral. Therefore, In terms of latency, the latency on the PC side is much greater than that on the console. At this stage, the PC side is mainly connected through the 2.4G frequency band. Because Wi-Fi has a lot of 2.4G, so there are too many devices in this frequency band. Interference with each other. Even if it's your neighbor or upstairs or downstairs, devices that are using this band will cause interference. Therefore, broken chains have become an inevitable phenomenon. If you switch to the 5G band, it may be much better. However, the attenuation of the 5G frequency band is much greater than that of 2.4G, which has a longer distance. Or there is an object blocking which will have a great impact. All in all, the problem of wireless connection on the PC side, the online stage is basically unsolvable. Therefore, for PC players when playing with a controller, it's better to connect to the line honestly. Next, let's take a look at the brand GULI. There should be very few domestically made players. Because they are mainly foreign trade customers, most of them are from overseas. So many people may mistakenly think that this is a small factory. If you search through Amazon, you will find that its sales are still very good. Their GULI Vidra handle can be said to be one. The advantages and disadvantages of the model are very obvious handles. Among the 5 handles mentioned, I personally feel that both the grip and the keys are the same. The feel is the best, but careful students can find out. It also looks most similar to the Xbox handle, therefore, it basically inherits all the pros and cons on the Xbox handle. The first is the Xbox's A key, which will get stuck after a long time. Encouraging King Kong also exists. In addition to this, it's the sharp key and the trigger key. It is also a process that uses the vacuum of the Xbox Elite controller. Therefore, after a long period of use, the paint will peel off. The impact on aesthetics is still great. But the advantages of the Xbox controller it also inherited. In addition to what we said at the beginning is that it feels good. What surprised me the most was the design of its LTRT trigger button. It uses the same Holtz sensor emergency number as the Xbox controller. Its advantage is greater precision. At the same time, the life is basically with the handle for life. This is also in addition to Microsoft, the only domestic manufacturer to use this technology. The others are sliding rheostat schemes. Can be said that this is a small Xbox handle. The only difference is its interperimeter layout is the same as that of the NS End. So it is still recommended for NS players to buy, although there is no problem using it on the PC side. But the difference in key position always makes people feel uncomfortable. Another problem is that they don't do receivers on the PC side. So for players, there is basically no choice. Only wired connections. By the way, they also have a small handle at home. It also uses the same linearity as NS. The motor is on the NS End. It can perfectly adapt to the sense of righteousness, which is in addition to Laurin, the only handle I have seen that uses a linear motor. But I personally don't recommend it for daily use, because this handle is mainly portable and small. Therefore, in terms of feel, it is still far inferior to the large handle. And the trigger button is not built. It is also very effective for racing games. Next is Mojang's Rainbow C1. The Mojang brand was just established in 2020, but they are really serious about the product. In fact, the first time I came into contact with their products was Mojang C2. What I didn't expect was that, in terms of internal workmanship, or the death of the joystick, they are all very top in domestic handles exist. The same is true for the Rainbow C launched later. This handle is very good in terms of workmanship and materials. The feel is also very well polished. Plus the RGB effect of the second grade. It makes it very playful as a whole. But the problem is, it is a wired controller in itself, and the PC side is easy to understand. But the NS End is still wired, which is a bit unreasonable. And the cable would have reached the price of $299. Personally, I feel that it is still a bit high. The last problem is that there is no metal ring design on the joystick. After a long period of use, powder will definitely appear, and then the joystick will drift. In general, for the Rainbow CEO of the last general, I personally recommend PC players. Or is it because of the problem of being limited to the position? If you are NS oriented, if you use a PC as a supplement, I recommend this C2 handle. Finally, let's take a look at the 8 guards. This is also a brand that many domestic players are familiar with. I have only experienced their flagship products. The key layout of the Pro 2 handle action sword also adopts the NS arrangement. The overall experience is still very good. However, their joystick arrangement adopts the PS scheme. So if you usually use the cross key more often than the left stick, then this handle should be the best choice. As for the problem, the most important thing is the joystick, and there is also a problem of powder falling off without metal rings. After using so many handles, In fact, my personal feeling is that the washing is mixed, the washing is domestic. There are also several manufacturers seriously making products. They all believe that the situation of domestic garbage is still insisting. Some are so many domestic factories. Only a few are doing it seriously. For consumers, the probability of stepping on thunder can be said to be very high. I understand too, why do some domestic brands disguise themselves as Japanese brands to sell? As for the handle of the budget home, if you have no other functional needs, there is no problem with the purchase, although they are not necessarily the most appropriate, but it definitely won't roll over like some garbage handles. The last thing I want to tell the students is the quality control of the handle. Whether it is Usangia or domestic, it cannot be perfect. In fact, this is not to blame the controller manufacturer for not doing it well, because the handle is very similar to other takeaway or electronic products. One point is that many of the key accessories inside are from third parties. Therefore, it is a product of parts such as a joystick and a motor. The control is something that the handle manufacturer cannot grasp. I am the old squad leader, an op master who focuses on game history and hardware evaluation. If you like this video, just follow me 3 times in a row.